So let me be concrete in my appeal here. Like, and I'm saying this genuinely. I'm not trying to be funny or set up a joke. Like if you're
It's
in,
giving this is not funny at all energy.
yeah, I don't think
I was just
it
getting
is.
ready to
It's
laugh.
just-
I could just tell.
It's just me saying I'm trying to have a serious, make a serious point, and a serious appeal. But like, if you're anyone who's like heard what we're talking about and like it resonates, no matter where you're at in the industry, like my appeal and challenge would be to like really pause for a second and like assess what you already have at your disposal, not just money or like resources or technology, but literally your own skills and your own relationships, and I would ask you to reach out, because I personally believe like the shit that we're talking about, with the right people invested and the right people engaged, and it's not just going to be like, I do like cultural workers as a phrase more broadly, because there's a lot of roles to be filled in what we're talking about. It's not just the people in front of the camera. It's all the people behind the camera. It's all the people involved with the technology. It just goes on and on and on in terms of how expansive the industries are that make quote unquote entertainment. But if you're anywhere within that, like I would just implore you to just reach out, even if it's like asking questions, or you want to pick our brains about something more specific in what we've been talking about. Just do it, because what the fuck else are we going to do? It's like we're just going to sit here with our thumbs up our asses, like, as all of this, shit
We
gets
can
worse.
do that too, but
Shit gets worse culturally, shit gets worse structurally, less opportunity. It's like, we've said it before. It's like, I know I'm like a broken record, but it's like we have nothing to lose at this point but our chains. It's like, and all of the fucking opportunity in the world as far as the US is concerned. I'm sorry, like that's another thing I'm going to keep repeating. We have so much access in this country. It's fucking ridiculous. So much in terms of resources, so much in terms of like relative stability. There's still so much opportunity to do some of the things that we're talking about. And then where I really get excited is like, God, what are the collective implications of like a large enough group of people being organized in this way? Like, what are the implications for people outside of quote unquote this entertainment thing, who are looking in and seeing all of these people in this respective industry living in this way, and literally like they're in the world living in this way, and the curiosity, the questions, the conversations that get raised. And the other thing I want to say, I'll put a pin in it here, is like, let go of this idea of like whatever the people who are trying to carve out this alternative path having all of the answers. Like, no one has all of the fucking answers. No one has everything figured out anywhere. Yeah, even the people upholding these systems of oppression and domination do not have every facet of what is going on, like an understanding of all of it. They just don't. You have people who have different focuses in different areas, and they organize with each other. And out of that organization comes the broader picture of the quote unquote system. And all we're saying is there should be people who have different focuses in different places, industrial, social, whatever, who share these values around cooperation, not having landlords, not having bosses, wanting decommodified space, the commons. All of these types of people, starting from our context of the arts and entertainment, just coming into the same room and figuring out, okay, yeah, I agree with that, and I agree with that. Okay, so let's figure it out.
Yeah, to that point, like I hear constantly a lot of good faith like questions like, what is the alternative? What do we do? And I know we've talked about it on here a lot, but it's like at the base level, you should just realize it's what's not the solution, what's not like that. At the baseline, you have to see what's not going to work,
so you can stop looking back. Like, you're wasting your time. Like,
it doesn't matter if we have a concrete, because here's the thing, like, you also have to start thinking in the context of like not every solution is going to work for every single fucking person. It's more an instinct.
Right.
It's a sensibility,
Right.
a tendency.
Right.
There's certain principles like, I don't know, like democracy is one of them.
Consensus.
Like everyone having the most amount of freedom they possibly can, the most amount of autonomy they possibly can.
To be
even more simply,
to be more explicit about what you're saying, the idea that any one person should have all the ideas or have it all worked out is some authoritarian bullshit.
Right.
Nobody has that.
That's
And
when you're going
any-
into cult territory.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
when you're dealing with a fucking cult.
Right. And
exactly.
Right.
Right. And even
Right.
asking that question perpetuates this notion that we should be in that type of territory. You know what I'm saying? It's like forcing people to answer that question just entirely defeats the purpose.
Like if you're
saying,
like
how would you impose your little world on me? It's like,
Right.
well, I wouldn't. I don't have a way of doing that because that's a defining aspect of the world I'm trying to build, is that people don't do that.
like what a fucking like 30,000 population of 30,000 like town in like Iowa needs to do if they have like their own culture versus us, a group of entertainers that met on literal social media apps
and living in New York City.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same shit. But it will both be rely on each other.
Right.
That's it.
And
don't need someone in charge.
And here's what I want to underscore on that point. Let's zoom out because the questions will always be never ending. But the big things I always see come up, they're always about money, and they're always about like access. They're always about like reach. Those are like the main sort of like things that I see. And
the main one is like the survival of the fittest instinct of like everyone's naturally competitive and nature's hierarchical. Like that's the big one apart from
for sure. But I'm thinking of people that are just like they're still trying to grasp with the idea that what we could be suggesting is even fundamentally possible.
Right.
And it's like, and they'll think about like people's conditioning as it stands now, but then they're thinking about, okay, well, where are you getting the resources to even start some of what you're talking about? And like I've always said and felt, at least for the last few years, like the money is fucking out there to like kickstart whatever. It just is like, and
obviously like these crypto apps.
But I'm saying like even for like, okay, like the collective intelligence, like enough people at the same intersection as us who understand what we're saying, if they all got in a room and strategized with each other, no one is going to convince me that all of those people couldn't come out with resources of all sorts to start doing all kinds of things. No one in the world could convince me otherwise.
Right.
I'm just sorry. Like through whatever means, whatever means, are there.
And it would probably be like experimental. It would be like experimentation, and like it would be scientific to a degree of like, let's just see what actually works. We got to work this out.
But to me, to have nestled in there as an X factor of baseline trust with each other, baseline survival needs. We're first and foremost getting everyone in this room out of a scarcity zone.
Right.
That's first and foremost. As an incentive, and even as like a trust building thing, like I it's just so clear cut to me. And we've said it before. What are then the implications beyond that? Now you have space to create more, to do more things.
Well, no. Once everybody has all their needs met, we run out of money. That's how it works.
It's true. And we would have to make more.
Yeah.
We'd have to make a profit.
Yeah, there's not enough money for that.
The growth would stop.
The growth
would cease.
Yeah.
No, but even if it's like talking to, quote unquote angel funders or investors, or finding people out here who they have generational wealth and they're aligned with what we're talking about. These people exist, like they're out here, and there's even more people to be won over. And then if we actually create the proper distribution technology and systems, then we can self-sustain, generate resources through our art and the things that we're creating, and that can sustain, the spaces that we've been able to open up.
It's like becoming scarcity neutral. You know how they say like they're carbon neutral? It's like, I'm scarcity neutral. You know, there's no scarcity. We're past that. It's just kind of a self-generating thing. Yeah.
But that
scarcity neutral cars.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know, that I do find myself underscoring the trust point too. And I do think that's a conversation in and of itself.
Well, I think that's what comes also from like generational communities. There's just a trust. It's like, oh, this family, like we like go generations back. You can trust literally any one of them. Like, and then now you're functioning with that level of trust. It's like, it's pretty strong,
right?
You know,
I mean, I'm thinking of like, that's like in a broader sense. I'm thinking about immediate, like even in us in terms of like, especially dealing with artists and especially dealing with artists who have been primed and conditioned in all the ways that we just described.
Right.
Like people feeling like people have ulterior motives and whatever, like beyond what I just said, like having motives beyond the baseline survival and trust and community.
Sad when you meet someone and you can feel that in them, like that distrust. You're just like, oh man.
You're just like, what do you want?
Like you're a mile away.
Right.
Like, you are a mile's arm reach.
Right.
Right now. Like,
just like, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah, it's like just so not real. It's complete simulation of
what
who
you
they
want
are.
from me, pal.
There's another implication. There's another implication in there though of like, you start small and you do have a proper vetting system. And like, I would imagine with what we're trying to do, you know, I would hope that over time, you know, it's like, it can be a smoother, you know, there's a smoother process that allows us to keep expanding with respect to autonomy and democracy and all of that. And that's something we'll have to figure out. But I don't put it past us. Like we have the ability. I feel like it has to start there with some of these people. Like you have to at least understand and acknowledge that, you know. And I know I've said it before again, but like this shit is relatively new. The entertainment systems and industries and legacy institutions, all of this shit is relatively new. This is all stuff for the most part that's from the last 100 or so years.
Yeah.
So like, don't fucking think that like that's the end all be all.
Right.
You know, like that's it. You know.
Right.
And also, it's like, it's fucking built on a foundation of skeletons and fucking dead bodies.